It's Pretzelman 945 here. Welcome back to another video. And welcome back to another episode of Seikaku Bunseki, the series where I do a deep dive into my top 10 favorite fictional characters and kind of do a deeper analysis with each character having its own video. We are at the eighth spot on the list, which means this is the third episode. So, the character we are going to be discussing today is Gollum from Lord of the Rings, who is by far my favorite character, in spite of all the fantastic characters that emerge from Lord of the Rings. Um, and the reason that I love Gollum so much is because I think that he portrays complex morality perhaps better than any other character that I've seen in fiction personally. Excuse me. Um Now, a big part of this is accomplished through his multiple personality disorder. Um, which, if you are not aware, essentially, keep in mind, I'm no like psychologist or anything, so don't take this definition too seriously. Definitely look up a proper definition for this because I could be getting some details wrong. But as I understand it, multiple personality disorder is a psychological condition um it's very self-explanatory where basically um he like Gollum essentially has two different personalities in his mind at the same time. So uh the multiple personalities is basically like you have multiple different personalities that someone's um conscious and subconscious like actively switches back and forth between. I'm not exactly sure. I think it is like a spontaneous thing, but I'm not completely sure on that. Like I said, don't take this definition of mine seriously at all. This is just what I know. Which is not a lot. But basically in Gollum's case, it means that he has one personality, Gollum, and the uh, other one, which is Smeagol. Um, and basically, what that results in is, um, like such a unique, um, character study. Um, I have a lot of random thoughts. So I'm gonna kind of start at the beginning. So, in his introduction, he is fishing with his brother Deagle, and he then finds the One Ring. Um, and immediately he's like, well, Deagle finds it, and immediately he's captivated by it because that's the influence of the ring. And then, he saves Deagle, and then Smeagol becomes obsessed. They end up fighting, and Smeagol murders I say brother, his cousin Deagle, over the ring, and he ends up claiming it as his own, and it slowly consumes all of his humanity. Which essentially like you have the first Smeagol personality, which is generally like good, and then the ring corrupts him, and then it becomes the other one, Gollum, which is like the corrupted personality, and that's essentially kind of put down. until Frodo talks with him, and after based on what he learned from Gandalf and whatnot, he helps reawaken the Smeagol part of his personality. And from there, which is what makes his entire character arc throughout the Two Towers so interesting and so good, is like from the moment that happens, these two personalities within Gollum are like um fighting with each other for domination of his mind and control of his actions. Um, and in one of my personal favorite, it might be like my favorite singular scene in all of Lord of the Rings movies, and it's probably up there with my favorite movie scenes of all time. But like the scene where Gollum just by himself while Sam and Frodo are sleeping, and it's essentially like the pivotal scene for his entire character, which is why I'm so glad it was done just so brilliant. Um, the pivotal scene where it like switches camera angles between um Gollum confront to like show the two of them talking as if like personalities are converging in the head. It's honestly genius. Um, to see like the good Smeagol part essentially like overtake the bad Gollum corrupted part of his personality to say he doesn't need the other half. It's such a powerful character moment. And you really think that, he might be headed for redemption. And you can very clearly see that this is like a much Smeagol is a much happier, superior version of the character. He enjoys Frodo's company a lot, despite the fact that Sam still creates a meme and doesn't trust him, understandably so, in my opinion. Um, and also, like just being able to I guess see the very stark contrast between this version of the character versus the Gollum side when Frodo and Sam first interact with him. Um, oh, man, 30. Um, so what this ends up accomplishing essentially is it it immediately lets the viewer know, I think, like how big this contrast between the characters actually is in their personality. And I think this goes a long way to establishing the whole point of the character and how um the morality is more complex by his two personalities being so distinct. Um, so I think that this distinction really helps until they end up getting captured by Faramir's men, and Gollum ends up like shot essentially, and and then he suddenly like there's a part of him that feels betrayed, which causes this the Gollum part of his personality to come back with a resurging vengeance almost in a way. And in another just absolutely brilliant scene that I really did not notice how good it was until I watched Lord of the Rings over like the Two Towers over and over again a couple times because the dialogue itself is very subtle and it's not really the main focus of the scene. The main focus of the scene is I can't remember if you're in the scene, but his men are trying to interrogate Gollum to try and find out details and the main focus of that scene is the fact they aren't really getting much out of Gollum and they can't really understand what he's saying. But if you observe like closer to and pay attention to what Gollum is saying and the fact that you hear the Smeagol side of him start to lose confidence a bit as the Gollum side regains control over him because he suddenly has all these doubts about potentially being betrayed by Frodo and and then and then to kind of just it's probably the main reason to me that of what makes Gollum's character so captivating in the first place is the fact that he kind of he goes on this upward redemption to the first pivotal scene, and then it seems like it's going there for a while, and then it just crashes down again. And it's so obviously the easy, satisfying thing to do would have been um for Tolkien to have written Gollum as this character that was just redeemed. But it's never that simple with characters with such complex moralities as this. Because by having that scene and the set of detail, the dialogue in the movie is just amazing. Um, I will talk about Andy Serkis's performance a little bit at the end, um, but the way that Gollum kind of follows this arc of redemption only for it to suddenly become crashing down again. It is extremely unsatisfying, but that's exactly the point because um the point was that Gollum was too far gone. Like the point of him seeming like he could be redeemed, it's so unsatisfying and yet it's tragically brilliant because you were hoping for this character so much and what this tragic brilliance and yet unsatisfying and in the viewer's mind to the character what that um allows for Lord of the Rings to explore is yet another angle of this idea of the corruption of the ring that, but mind you, has already been explored in a number of angles just using Gollum's character alone, and this is yet another angle of that. And it's one of many, many little examples of why Lord of the Rings writing and Tolkien's writing is just absolutely brilliant. Um, and I do want to talk a little bit about Andy Serkis's performance because I feel like that is a must mention when you're talking about Gollum. Not only is not only is Andy Serkis my second favorite actor of all time. This is a big reason for that. But this is also like one of the best character performances in all of film, and it's not even close. Like the way that Andy Serkis is able to portray both sides of this morality is just it absolutely glues you into the character, and his acting is so brilliant. And not to mention the entire CG and motion capture for Gollum in general throughout Lord of the Rings was absolutely revolutionary. Um but yeah, I think that's everything I have to say about Gollum. Ultimately, I love him. He's my favorite Lord of the Rings character, and on this list because I think that following his entire struggle with morals and what that can teach and allow further themes to be explored is just one of many tiny examples of why Tolkien is such a brilliant writer, and why the Lord of the Rings is so incredible. But anyway, that's going to do it for this episode of Seikaku Bunseki. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you later. Bye.